Hey guys, Matthew, and today I want to bring you guys a video on my second episode of the Farming Encyclopedia series, and we are going to be talking about simulacrum farming. So, I was actually pretty surprised of how insane simulacrum farming is. Now, there's a few reasons for that, and obviously one of those reasons being the fact that Exalts are insanely cheap. So even if you're dropping an absolute tremendous amount of 2C, 3C, 5C items, 10C items, whatever it is, they add up incredibly quickly to some, like, a bunch of Exalts, really. Because it's so easy to amass. Like, right now, I believe Exalts are 72C, yeah. So not even 75 chaos per Exalt, which is unbelievably cheap. Obviously, there's multiple reasons for that, but in the end, it makes it that farming simulacrums or blighted maps is very, very profitable. Now, between blighted maps from the old test and simulacrum, as I'm about to show the results, there is a pretty significant difference, and simulacrums takes the cake on this one by far, about twice as good as the test we did on blighted maps. So let me go ahead and pop open my little notepad here, and let's talk about what we did. So I ran a total of 17 simulacrums. 8 of those were ran on stream, and the other 9 were ran off stream. So that's that. 6 hours spent total actually farming simulacrums. 3 hours on stream yesterday. The other I did off stream, slowly but surely. The sorting to sell everything is about 1 hour. It was about 2 full quad dump tabs. So I was able to fill up roughly this entire tab on stream, and then off stream when I did the 9 other ones, I was able to fill up almost the entirety of this tab and finish up this tab. So almost 2 full quad dump tabs of actual loot, which was sorted and either, sorted and sold. So the sorting is about an hour to do the 2 quad dump tabs, and this was not a like insane efficiency. I was just going for, let's say I would write like fossils, and I pick all the fossils, and like scarabs, pick up those scarabs, write tier, pick up all the maps, and so on and so forth. Took about an hour to do all the dump tabs. So like you could technically do it quite a bit faster, but I think allocating an hour for 2 quad dump tabs is fine if you're going very chill about it. So the cost was 1.8 Exalt per simulacrum. So a total of 17 simulacrums cost just 30.6 Exalts to actually run. The return was 58.2 Exalts. The profit was therefore 27.6 Exalt profit in 6 hours, which or in 7 hours, because I do count the 1 hour of sorting in the actual result. So our profit per hour with the sorting, with the 1 hour of sorting, is 3.95 Exalt per hour, which if you've seen my video on blighted maps, that's almost double how much I was making in blighted maps. The profit per hour with sorting and with a bulk markup. So this is definitely something you need to consider when farming things like simulacrums or blighted maps, is that a lot of the drops are going to be able to be sold in bulk. Scarabs, maps, essences, all of those things have a pretty significant markup when you are selling them in bulk, because people don't want to pay the minimum price and buy them one at a time. They would rather pay 20 to 30% increase and get a large amount at a time, so you are paying for convenience. So in that case, it's about a 20 to 30% increase depending on what, so I took a 25% here. So with the bulk markup, we are looking at about 4.93 Exalts in pure profit per hour. So at the current cost of mirrors being about, I believe, 120 Exalts, it would mean that technically you have to farm 24 hours of simulacrum to make a full mirror, which in my opinion is quite good. That means that if you play even something like 3 hours a day, if you're being quite efficient, you can make a mirror in about a week, just farming simulacrums. And one thing to note is that there's a lot of things that I left out in this calculation, and there's also a lot of things that could happen that did not happen, which I'm about to go into. So the things that I did not pick up or consider: I did not pick up any rares of any kind, I did not pick up any jewels, I did not pick up any sacrifice fragments, and there is a ridiculous amount of sacrifice fragments that do drop if you actually want to go through the trouble of picking them up. I did not pick them up because they're pretty cheap. Most of them are about 3 per chaos, but you can easily drop like hundreds of them over the course of 17 simulacrums, you really do drop an insane amount. So they do add up. I was just being too lazy and I removed them from my filter. I did not consider any maps below T11s. Therefore, any yellow maps, white maps, whatever, did not pick those up. I did not really pick up any unique maps either, even if most of them are worth 2 to 3 chaos and you can sell them in bulk pretty easily. I removed them from my filter just because they're kind of annoying. So any maps that was below T11, so any non-red maps was not picked up. I did not pick up any prophecies whatsoever, or the ones that I did pick up I did not consider. So for example, my filter only shows good prophecies and the prophecies that are used for mapping. So for example, you know, fire from the sky, or like your tempest, your plague of rats, your stuff like that. Those I did not actually include in the price. I removed them and I've been putting them in another tab, and these are basically for my own usage, so I did not put them in the actual price, even if technically plague of frogs, plague of rats, you know, crushing your tempests, and all of those are mostly, they go for about 2 to 3C each in big bulk. I did not consider any of those, so definitely something you need to consider when actually farming those, is you do get quite a few prophecies. I did not consider any essences below shrinking, so while I did pick up anything above or screaming and above, I did not consider those. So I took out all of the screaming essences and I just straight up threw them in my essence tab. And anything that was below shrieking basically was put in my essence tab. I did upgrade it to shrieking in most cases, or deafening, but I did not actually consider the price that they were worth when I did that. So that's another thing that we need to actually consider. If you were to sell screaming essences in bulk, or take your screaming to shrieking and then sell the shrieking, you would be making more currency. I did not pick up any oils below crimson. So crimson being this one here is worth about 2 chaos. Anything below that I did not pick up. Again, you could pick up hundreds of these lesser oils and upgrade them. I just didn't think it was efficient, so I didn't do that. Any div cards less than 4 chaos was not included in the price. So while I do pick a lot of the div cards up, which are not worth that much, so for example, the void card, this league is only like 2C. While I did pick up all of them, I did not consider them in the actual profit. I just threw them in my actual div card tab, and I did not consider them. Then any div card that was worth more than 4 chaos, or 4 chaos and above, I did actually consider in the results. So again, something that you're going to get a bunch of like gambler cards or like void cards or any of those cards that are pretty cheap. The reason I did not consider them is because the program which I was using to count all the net worth is called Excellence Next. I'll have a link in the description, and it counts all these bad div cards as worth 1 chaos each. So for example, it would count a gambler card as being worth a chaos. Even if nobody in their right mind is going to buy gambler cards for a chaos, nobody is going to buy the one that gives you a stack of 5 random currencies for a chaos. Nobody is going to buy those, so I removed them myself, and then I let the program do the count on the actual net worth that was in the 2 dump tabs that I mentioned after I had removed everything else, and those are the results of that. So Scarabs, same thing there. Any Scarab below 2 chaos I did not pick up. So for example, well, I did pick them up, but I did not consider them. So for example, Rusted Reliquary Scarabs here, you can get like, you know, 3 or 4 of them for a chaos or something. I did not consider any of those whatsoever. Even if you sell them in bulk, you can get a chaos or even sometimes 2 chaos for some of these in bulk. For example, Elder Scarabs are 1 chaos each, but if you want to buy 10 or 20 of them at a time, you will mostly end up paying 2C each. So lots of those Scarabs I did not consider. I only considered the ones that were worth 2C and above, because once actually sold in bulk, you can get like 2 to 4 to even sometimes more chaos per. So there is a pretty significant markup. So for example, best example of that would be these Rusted Bestiary Scarabs here are considered 1 to 2C each, but you can very easily sell them for almost 5C each, or even sometimes 6 chaos each. Which is ridiculous. Like we're talking about 5 times the price if you're selling for 1C each, or like 3 times, 2.5 times the price if you're selling them for 2C each, if you have like 10 of them. So definitely a pretty big markup there that you do need to consider. But the program does not consider bulk sales, so it didn't really do that. And the last thing I didn't really care about is gem experience. So leveling gems in your offhand or in your main character, if you can fit him, is really, really good in Simulacrums. You get an insane amount of XP. So then, where did most of the currency come from? Well, as I wrote here, mostly Scarabs, random leveled and quality gems. So there's a lot of gems that you'll drop in there, like 21, 23, random gems that sell for 20, 30, 40 chaos, stuff like that. Lots of 21 gems as well, which sell for anywhere from like 5 to 10 C. Tons of them in reality. Lots of fossils, actually. A pretty damn big amount of fossils. And due to the price of low exalts and fossils selling for a lot in bulk, it is very, very easy to stack up some quick exalts on fossils. A ridiculous amount of stacked decks. You drop a lot of those. I consider them at 1 chaos each, which is the bulk price currently because they are so available this league. I consider them at 1 chaos each, but I actually opened them both on the on-stream version, and when I did some more, I also opened those. But for the sake of this, I considered them at 1 each. And a lot of random fragments, Shaper, Uber, Elder, Zeri, stuff like that. You do get a fair bit of those, and one of the things you get a lot of really is Breachstones, and Breachstones are fairly expensive, especially in bulk, so that's pretty good. The most expensive drop out of all my 17 runs was a level 4 enhance at 1.5x, a pure Cheerleader Breachstone at 1.5x, 2 regular Cheerleader Breachstones at 65c, a 6-link Quill Rain which sold for 90c I believe, or 80c, 2 Exalt drops, multiple gems of around 30 to 50 chaos each, especially like I said, 21, 23 gems, random ones. Lots of T13 plus maps, pretty insane amount of T13 plus maps actually. There's a lot of maps that drop in there when you get into the higher waves. And then lots and lots of smaller currencies which add up fairly quickly due to the low price of Exalts. So for example, Scours being about 3 per chaos, if you drop, 100 of them, that's a third of an X. But if you sell them for Exalt prices, you can get even more than that. You can sell like 200 for an X, stuff like that. So some pretty good amount of currency just in regular small things. Anything that is basically in your currency tab, I was pretty much picking up most of it. I did not pick up like transmute, alterations, glass colors, baubles, but anything worth like half a chaos or so I picked up. So that is basically that. So real quick, I do want to say something though. Simulacrums, the results that I had here, you need to consider that I was getting 5 bars of loot every single wave. Now, this is not the golden standard because the maximum would actually be 6 bars of loot per wave, and that would give you basically 20% more loot. Because how Simulacrums work is that you go through the wave and then you get as many bars as possible, which basically relies on you killing monsters within a given time frames, and the more monsters you kill, the more the bar goes up, and the maximum is 6, and I would say the minimum to make your money back is going to be 4 if you want to be profitable. If you're getting any less than 4 or even 4, I would say maybe skip out on Simulacrum farming and come back when your character is either faster, stronger, whatever it is. Because there is, you're definitely going to be making a lot less currency if you're getting less bars of loot. So I was getting 5 every single wave, minus a couple bad ones, but for the most part it was 5 every single time, and there was a decent few waves, probably about 5 waves or so per simulacrum on average. I was actually getting 6 bars, so the actual maximum. But the money really is going to be between wave 15 and 20 because it is a 20 wave instance. You are going to get a unique drop, which is basically related to Delirium every single simulacrum. As you can see here, it is going to be either a voices, a split personality, or the gloves, the helmet, the boots, or the chest piece. So in my farming of 17, I did not get any voices, but that's kind of normal. They're pretty rare. I got no helmet either, a Salem, which is worth a decent bit. I got mostly boots, gloves, and chest pieces, which are all completely useless and worth nothing. So I think that this actual profit per hour here can be a lot better if you actually pick up more things, but also over time, as you run more and more and more, you are going to get the lucky drops, like the voices, like the faded connections, like all these big prophecies, big div cards, all these things do drop. The thing is, they're rare. But if you do a lot of these, especially, like I said, between wave 15 and 20, which is where you really get the rewards, the first 15 waves feel like pretty much just a complete waste of time. That's where you're going to make your money. And as you do more and more and more, you are going to average out getting those really big drops. And this 5-ish exalt per hour here does not consider any big drops whatsoever. So I would say simulacrum farming is actually pretty damn insane. Now, a big portion of that is because, like I said, the price of exalts right now being very, very cheap. And the price of crafting materials such as fossils or like scarabs to juice up your map and stuff being pretty expensive makes it so it's really, really easy to actually amass exalts through all those different drops. That being said, if I was to test like 100 or 200 of them, I'm pretty sure that this could probably increase easily by an extra exalt per hour, just due to the fact that over time you are going to get those big drops, which I mentioned. So, I guess my final words about simulacrum farming is that is definitely worth it. It is an incredibly lazy farm as well. So you just put it in and then you just go in and clear your waves and it's good to go. The only problem is that you will need a good build. You will need a very, very solid build, especially to get to the last 2 or 3 waves. Wave 18 to 20 are significantly harder than anything before. So you are going to want to have a very good build to be able to do so. Currently, I'm running an ore stacker, so a pretty budget ore stacker, but still an ore stacker nonetheless. So I think one of the builds I could recommend is probably just some type of minion build, because you can pretty much just AFK, make sure to keep yourself alive, and then let your minions do everything. Probably the most recommended build, then obviously is things like cast on crit would be really good. Actually, cast on crit or any type of BV with explosion builds would actually be really good, because you could get those 6 lines of rewards instead of 5, which would mean that, again, those results would be even more impressive. On that note, though, I do want to say a huge thank you to my supporters: Mario, Lero, Gaikona, Kfish, Dr. Radu, Scott, Zarashi, Kevin, Castigas, Matus, Dieselboy, and Dan S, as well as obviously anybody else who wishes to remain anonymous, and anybody else who has supported me in the past or on different platforms. Huge thank you to you guys. Hopefully this video is useful for some people, and you guys can go on and farm some simulacrums with Delirium on the map device. It makes them incredibly common. So they are pretty cheap as well. With the price of exalts, I would say it is definitely one of my go-to strategies for very easy money making. On that note, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.